Market's a little bit red today, I know, but it might actually be the last time you have to get in this market before it actually does run away. We're going to look at some data, some prices to kind of weigh up your options, especially if you are new to the market. I'm also going to look at some altcoins that look like fair value in my opinion, certainly when you think what hasn't really ran yet. This is not financial advice. Please do invest responsibly. I've been in the market for a while, and my opinion might differ to other YouTubers and probably yourself. I'm also going to let you know what I'm doing in this little dip as well. It might shock a few of you to know what I'm going to do, but we are going to get into it in more detail in terms of what my opinion is based off previous cycle starting points. Anyways, let's get into it. So the first thing we need to talk about is why has it corrected? Liquidation. So what a liquidation is, if you're wondering, it is when a position has been removed due to a price movement. You can see on the chart already on the screen, we're seeing a little bit of a move. Now, basically what we're looking at here is a total wrecked over the course of 24 hours, which is this bit here, right? 811 million, majority of them long. So what does that mean? It means that people that are late to the party long, going up, I predict market's going to go north, buying into it, have been liquidated because the price has dropped below a certain point, therefore creating a cascadence of stop losses and therefore then liquidations. This is how a market is squeezed, right? So what we might see soon, just going to put this point out there and why this could be a great dip, we might well see late shorts get liquidated and it creates a relief bounce. However, I am recording this video currently about 12:30 UK time. The US market isn't open for a couple of hours yet. Now that might mean by the time you watch this video, the prices may be very different. Just going to put that point out there. Apologies. However, this is why markets crumble, right? Leverage. 2021 cycle, in my opinion, was basically all dealt on leverage. Problem, right? So we've got to look into that. However, this is big because people are starting to FOMO and it's a good indication of what has happened in the past. Moving on to factor number 2 here, the ETFs. The inflows do suggest, and it is a little bit delayed. So the 13th is this one, big. We have got the 14th and obviously today is to process. There's a big chance that a lot of ETFs and certainly customers of those ETFs might well look at that and go, this is an opportunity. I can buy Bitcoin at prices that I've never seen for a week, right? So that could be a factor here. We've also got to look at the fact that the current supply of Bitcoin increasing in terms of their holdings, right? Obviously, they are outpacing the new Bitcoin coming into circulation via mining. Obviously, halving is coming up. I'm going to come onto that in a minute, in about 34 days. So the dip that keeps on dipping might not be the dip that keeps on dipping in this cycle because ETFs are getting into the point of, well, let's buy. The more the candles go up, and this is a big psychological factor here, more people want it, right? And when we've got a massive outlet, essentially, of new customers via the ETFs, they're probably going to buy it because they don't care and they don't really physically understand it, but they don't care anyways because they've got fuck it money, right? Point. If you've not yet done so, please do leave a like on this video. It helps. 1,000 likes would be amazing. I love hitting that benchmark and it happens very rarely. Also, if you're new, subscribe. Certainly if you want psychological stuff and how not to lose all your money. My channel's a little bit different to most. Right, we need to talk about something. Halving data. Now, this time is different. Let me explain. So previous cycle, we had halving roughly around 11th, 15th of May, give or take, around those numbers, 2020. We also had an all-time high break at roughly mid-December, just before Christmas. And then we ran. We ran for a bit and then we corrected, okay? Now, this is somewhat different. Why? Where we are right now is we've made a new all-time high and halving is roughly around here, not too far away, right? If I go to the BTC dominance, I want to explain something, right? The mania hasn't happened yet, right? Let me explain. BTC dominance, previous cycle, this was roughly around the all-time high of Bitcoin breaking, okay? Roughly around here, give or take around these sort of points, right? The dominance then spiked up because Bitcoin went boom. We're way past all-time high, man. And then we had this massive surge into alt seasons and money going into the market and Tesla doing this, micro-strategy, Wall Street bets, stupidness. Oh, meme, you get the idea, right? So we haven't had that yet. Let me explain. When you think about it now, if and when and how whatever happens next is there's a good chance that Bitcoin will go beyond its all-time high and stay above it for a while and keep going. What is this? This is called euphoric feelings and hype and hopium and all that kind of FOMO kicks in, where Bitcoin then goes towards 80k, 90k, 100k. All of a sudden, this will get to a point where it will just top out. Now, in my opinion, it's looking a little bit toppy, but I am not disregarding that grey box still. I still think 56 to 60% is a great place for a potential top out where money will rotate. Therefore, it gets a little bit fun. So when we talk about, are we still early? Is this the dip to buy? Yes, because dominance is high, realistically, in terms of altcoins. And I will go through some altcoins throughout this video that look pretty damn good. However, we haven't had that full, clear crystal break of all-time high yet. And that could be coming weeks away. Therefore, this video is a one that you should really be watching and taking note of, obviously. Now, another thing to back up what I just said is the total 3/BTC. This is the weekly chart and it's slowly trying to bottom. Basically, lower this goes equals how low your Bitcoin pairs are in terms of altcoins. Right, makes sense. And same for the total too. It looks very, very bottomy, which is good. If you invert this chart, it's not the sort of chart you'd want to not log. Don't want to go there. When you, bear with me, when I invert it, there we go. It's not the sort of thing you'd want to go long on realistically. It looks a bit toppy, right? Just saying. So when this does start to change, you may notice that altcoins then run, dominance will drop, la la la. Hasn't happened yet, but there's a good chance it probably will, given the past, which I just highlighted in terms of the halving, in terms of situation of a big break of all-time high where it starts to flow and run, big green candles, get people looking, and then they'll go, ooh, Bitcoin's a bit expensive. I'll buy something like Ethereum Classic, for example. Now, I've talked about this chart as well in previous videos in terms of the bull and the bear narrative. When we look at the previous, now this is the weekly time frame. I might actually fast forward this a little bit to the 3-day time frame. This is a previous bull market, give or take, right? There's a lot of corrections, and I tweeted about it. Feel free to follow me on X, even though I just said tweet. You get the idea. There's always going to be double-digit days, right? This is where it comes important. This kind of looks like this sort of area here where we had a bit of a rundown and a bit of a drop-off. That was a break of all-time high, and then we gone crazy. So when we look at these corrections, right? This is a 28% correction, okay? You got a one here, which is like 27, 28% again. They're all kind of rough sort of similarities. Again, 17%. I've changed the color there for some weird ass reason. 28 again. So you get the idea. Obviously, this big, massive, deep 50% correction, right? But on the way up, there's always these types of correct, which is fine, right? So what we're looking at right now, we're not looking at much, but we are fundamentally looking at a correction. We are currently 11, 12% down, which isn't bad. However, we've had a correction here too at the start of the year, which is absolutely fine, okay? Bear that in mind. If you are a beginner in this space, check out a lot of the past data, please do, because when you start to figure out that time concept is huge and what's happened in previous cycles, often they rhyme. They don't repeat, they rhyme, right? But this always happens. A market is healthy when it pulls back. There's 3 ways a market can go. It's up, it's down, and also sideways. Just bear that in mind when you are panicking when things are going crazy. Yes, when it's parabolic, you should be looking to take and secure the bag. But when it actually goes down, there's an obvious opportunity here. Okay? Now, other crazy ass, weird ass factors that why this could be very, very interesting is Google searches. This might actually start to go up due to the news of the correction and people getting feared into it. Now, I've not looked at YouTube today and I'm holding off. I'm holding off. because I'm going to reckon it's going to be doom and gloom and horrible, and it's all going to end with big ass horrible thumbnails. I'm trying to do the opposite of what other people are saying. I still think personally that it's like a buy the dip opportunity, and I'll go through what I'm going to do. But for me, the interest in BTC volume and Google searches and all this kind of stuff is still somewhat low. We're not at the manic stages yet. And now if I look at all data, this is Coinbase, previous high, give or take high. Ethereum, if we go to all, nowhere near those levels yet. You get the idea? So we're still not there. Once your cat next door starts texting you that, oh, should I buy Bitcoin or XRP? There's a good chance of it, right? But fundamentals, I still think it's not quite out there yet, but we've only just slightly tickled the all-time high and created a new all-time high a little bit up the road versus, say, breaking it and going to, say, 100K. I think if Bitcoin reaches 80 to 100K, I think all of these charts on the screen will look freaking way different, my opinion. So you're probably wondering, what am I doing in this cycle? What am I doing at this correct moment? Now, I'm not going to be buying much. I'm not buying much at all because, sorry to sound like an arrogant, egotistic ball bag, but I've been positioned in this market for a long time and I'm very, very happy with my position. I'm not going to dollar cost average up. I do have on Learning Crypto a Bitcoin Builder Challenge, which I will be putting money into Bitcoin every single week and building that up, then removing some of that into an altcoin, then hopefully it rises, then swap it back. That sort of vibe. But in my own personal portfolio, I think I've done a good job where I bought. I don't want to dollar cost average up. However, if you are new in this market and if you are looking at this and you've got caught out rabbit in the headlights, this isn't a bad place to look at an entry. As I said before, not financial advice. It is based off past data. We could correct much lower, but you are not buying the all-time highs of assets. Certainly in the altcoins, which we will come on to. Bitcoin and the total two still could go much, much higher in terms of the time concept, in terms of if you understand investing and how it all works, you'll probably be okay. The panic problem is when days like this happen and you've bought the day before or 2 days before and it's like, oh no, there will be an opportunity here that it could go obviously much lower. But the reality is it's all about dollar cost averaging on dips at levels of support. For me, as I say, I bought much earlier. For me, a bull market, once you're in sync with it, you relax in a bull market, you see things go up, you take profit on the way. In a bear market, it's where you grind and you look for the orders, you do your research, you find stuff to buy, and you potentially stake in them to make some free capital. But if you're new, just look at what's happening. You're probably noticing things that look a bit scary because they're all red and people doom and gloom. But bull markets, dips are usually bought up pretty quickly, which is quite the opposite to an obvious bear market, for example. So, Ash, what altcoins look good in both USD and potentially Bitcoin pair? I'm not going to go too deep on the Bitcoin pair because people don't understand it. But I look at the likes of Chainlink at $19 thinking, you know what? That hasn't really moved much versus the rest of the market in terms of the grand scheme of things. You've even got stuff like Matic that has hardly really moved versus some of the other assets. Yes, obviously it was much, 50 odd, but it's only literally doubled in price, give or take. There's stuff like Polkadot, in my opinion, that still looks fair value. It's only just breaking out of this range. Let me just show you what you probably shouldn't buy. Let's just give you that context first. Solana, as much as people look at this and go, well, it could go to $1,000, and it might, this has ran massively versus where it was, just to give you a bit of context. Again, BNB is another one. Wow, look at that. Yes, it's a retail exchange sort of coin, obviously, but you probably don't want to buy that. There's fair value. So again, going back to the fair value, Cardano hasn't really motored much, and it's a top asset. There's loads here that look phenomenally good. And as much as I take the piss out of XRP, it has a potential run in it with the retail. A lot of people like XRP. I personally use it quite a lot to move stuff around because one, it's cheap. Right, going back, I buy Bitcoin for the Bitcoin builder. I do not buy Bitcoin, on one exchange and send it via the Bitcoin network. I will use XRP to then get it to the exchange that I want to buy it on or swap it that way because it is much, much cheaper. Crazy. Injective protocol is another one you probably shouldn't really be looking at because it's already gone crazy. There's so much out here that hasn't run. HBAR is a pretty solid asset in my opinion that could look very good in the future. And look at the key mentality here for everyone thinking about what am I going to buy. Buy something that looks far away from all-time high. HBAR fits that bill. Rose is another one. It's done a bit of a run, but realistically its all-time high could be much higher than 60 cents to given where it was in the previous cycle. If I then flip these down to the BTC pairs, this is Cardano looking like a mess. Polkadot looking like a dog's dinner. These can run up, create a lot of value here. Even Chainlink, I just mentioned it before, doesn't look great, does it? Well, that's probably why. It is in a brilliant dipping opportunity. Near Protocol has done fantastically well. I'm a holder, happy to buy it, and I'm actually looking to take profit at this point. I might be doing a video about this very, very soon if I do take profit, just saying. But again, it's from my entry point down here in terms of when I was buying the dips, like roughly around there, it's done well. But it could obviously go much, much higher. I probably would say stay away from Near at the moment, but there's a massive narrative around the Nvidia side. However, thus being said, there's so many assets out there that you could find that look pretty damn good. And it goes back to that old point before. Dominance of Bitcoin is still relatively high. Once it starts dropping, it's going to get interesting. So the rule of thumb is simple. Buy when that is high. Hopefully it trends down and then you sell when it's much lower. Okay. Video complete. If you like this, let me know. Comments are welcome. If you are struggling with any of this concept, please do let me know. And yeah, leave a like if you can. But watch the video highlighted on the screen. Probably help you out a lot more.